Coming up on Survivor TV, we're talking with a woman who doesn't mind talking about sex, and she'll make sure you're always in the mood. Welcome to Survivor TV. I'm Tamika Felder, and I'm joined by sexologist Bianca Laureano. Welcome to the show, Bianca.
Thanks, Tamika.
Well, everybody knows that I don't mind talking about sex. I think we can't talk about cervical cancer without talking about sex. But I want you to tell our audience how to become more comfortable talking about their body, the changes that their body goes through, and how to speak up when something doesn't feel right, how to find their voice.
So the first thing is to really take a good look at your body in general. So that requires a mirror, some good lighting. And it might be a little scary. You might be a little intimidated by yourself, but
you have to become familiar with your body or re-familiar with your new body.
For sure, especially if you have partners or a new one, you want to know what makes you feel good still,
Right.
And maybe some new sensations that are coming about. So first thing you do is really take a good look at your body, figure out what you like, and figure out the things that you may not be too excited about, but that are still a part of your body that you get to know all over again. So that can be a really exciting journey.
One of the things that I think was hardest for me is I knew that I was going to have a scar. I don't think I was prepared for the scar. I have a scar, from my belly button to my vagina. You can't miss it. And you can see where every single staple was stapled. And I was so afraid of showing that, to someone. And I remember the first time my husband kissed it and it made everything okay. But then on the flip side of that, from my radiation burns, I also have a scar where instead of having a straight up and down line in my butt crack, now it looks more something like a question mark. And feeling, I already have this big body. Now I have these scars. How do I get past that and love myself? How do I allow someone in to see those scars and love me?
Right. I don't know if it's so much getting past it as much as it's incorporating it into your life and recognizing that this is who you are. These are just the scars that come with surviving this journey that you've just gone through. And even though they can be intimidating because our society already tells us that we're not beautiful and lovely and perfect and magical, but our bodies do amazing, miraculous things like survive. So those are some of the things that we just need to hold on to and remind ourselves about. And that's one of the gifts that we get to share with other people when we choose to have them in our lives. So it's definitely not going to happen overnight. It's a process. Our bodies are going to change as we age anyways.
Right.
So imagine it as just being part of that larger process.
What do we say to someone who, when they look in the mirror, they just don't truly love themselves? They don't see themselves as a beautiful entity. What can they do to really look at themselves and find not only their inner beauty, but reach into that inner beauty and pull it out to the outside?
Everybody's journey is going to be different. Everyone's perspective is going to be different. I think one of the things that we can really tell people is just to remind them that it's a really revolutionary act to love yourself, especially as a woman, a young woman, a woman who survived cancer, a woman of color, a woman with disability. When we love ourselves and we take pride in who we are and who we're becoming, that's revolutionary. Because if you look all over the place, the magazines, the TV shows, they're telling us not to do that.
Right.
So when we do the exact opposite, we're really creating amazing change, not just in our life, but in our communities as well. Because imagine the other young women in your life that see you just glowing and loving who you are with confidence and joy. That's going to just, spread out. So it's really a reflexive action that you need to take with yourself, recognizing that you're worthy and you deserve to move through the world safely and feeling your full self.
Okay, we've got people loving themselves now. How do we get them loving themselves? Let's talk about sex. I firmly believe after everything that a woman's been through, she at least deserves good sex. So what are some tips to get them to a sex life after a diagnosis of HPV or cervical cancer?
Yeah, well, it depends on what your treatment was and what your diagnosis is. So some people need to abstain if that's what their physicians are telling them to do. Other people may have a longer process that they're going to need to go through. But I think regardless, the first thing is to be gentle with yourself. sexuality is a part of the entire lifespan. So it doesn't leave you just because you have one experience. It's something that you come back to and always hold with you. So whenever you're ready to come back to your own sexuality and your own sexual pleasure, it is the right time for you. Of course, it's helpful if you have a partner at times.
But if not,
you're
you
your
can
best
pleasure
partner,
yourself too.
right? As you know.
And I know people, you know, they don't want to talk about that, but that's the reality. I know for, you know, one thing, I was single when I was diagnosed with cervical cancer. So unfortunately, I was at a great facility, but they never gave me dilators to use. So I wasn't having sex with anybody, and then I didn't have the dilators to help open up the vagina again. The vagina is a muscle. So when I started having sex again, it was painful. There was a lot of bleeding involved. And quite honestly, I just didn't want to do it again. And I want to make sure that, you know, every woman that I know that's going through something like this, these are the things that you need to do. Because like I said, I think after a cervical cancer diagnosis, you know, you deserve to at least have a good orgasm.
Sure, of course. And it's best that you know how to give yourself that experience as well. It's not something that you reach or achieve, it's something that you experience. So I don't think that if you don't have an orgasm during a session, you should be upset or disappointed. But
I think when you beat yourself up too, it makes it harder to reach the mountaintop.
Right, I mean, it's definitely all about comfort and safety. So a lot of these, I mean, just even the tools that you need to use, like a dilator, it's a really kind of intimidating term.
Right.
And then when you look at the dilators that you gotta use,
might as well go ahead and get a vibrator, right?
Right, well, or, you know, they're really medical items that can be expensive, especially as well. But, you know, I think there are so many different options for people that I encourage people all the time to masturbate. You have to do it. I think it's a great experience just to get to know your own body. You can share it with someone else, but also you're your favorite partner, you know, and once you get yourself together, once you realize that, then you're going to attract some other partners who are going to probably be your favorite too.
Bianca Laureano, no one can ever say chatting with you is boring. Thanks for joining us at Survivor TV.